Hello, I am out on this beautiful spring day gathering greens in my neighborhood to make a salad. There's a couple of favorite greens that come out during the springtime that are really energizing and bright and just have my body feel like it's awakened to the springtime. So I wanted to show them to you because they grow all throughout California, all throughout the Bay Area, in Davis, and just these greens are native to this area, and they are abundant and really delicious, very bright, and they're very simple to identify. So I wanted to show them to you. We have chickweed. You can identify it by the ways that the leaves grow across from each other, and they kind of look like mouse ears. The plant itself is very cool to touch. It's a refrigerant, and it has these bright white flowers. It's called stellaria, and you can see that the flowers look like little stars. It's really juicy and high in protein. It's a plant that's high in trace minerals. It's really good for cooling the body down and just helping us as we get into these soon to be very hot months. It's only around for a little bit longer, so I like to harvest a good amount of it and put it in vinegar. The minerals are really well extracted in vinegar. Vinegar is a great menstruum for mineral-rich plants like horsetail and chickweed, nettles, but otherwise you can make a lot of salads with them. So I like to munch a lot while it's still fresh. You can see that this hillside has chickweed that's bolted, and when it's a little bit older it gets really leggy, very stem rich. But the younger plants, even the ones that are now out to the flower, are really juicy and delicious, and it cooks down really well too. It's high in vitamin C, just like another one of the plants out here. This is miner's lettuce or Indian lettuce. It's native to this area too, and this hill is now mostly in seed. The flowers have gone to seed. It's really high in vitamin C, super energizing, really antioxidant, so it helps the body feel bright and immune to disease that will come this time of year. So I like to have that one in salad. Also, it's really similar to spinach in how it cooks down. I've found that tossing it with salad dressing gets it to feel kind of like mucusy and slimy. Hi, Emily. But if you eat it fresh or cooked, it's really, really delicious. But one thing to know about vitamin C is it breaks down with exposure to heat, and so dehydrated, it doesn't really do that well. Hi, Rylan. Oh my gosh, how fun. It's good to see you guys. This is so fun. So then another one that's out here is this one's a little bit trickier, and I'm going to show it because it's a really amazing plant, but it can easily be misidentified as hemlock. So this one is called wild chervil, and there are several ways to properly identify it as different than hemlock, there are several types of hemlock that grow out in the hills here. There's spotty water hemlock, which will it's deadly. It will cause convulsions and people will chew their tongue to shreds. It's horrible. But there's another kind of hemlock that has been traditionally used by shamans to slow down the central nervous system enough to enter into trance-like states, which is actually a common practice for many different kinds of central nervous system sedating plants, depression plants throughout the world, like the opium plants and wild lettuce, and hemlock was used for the same thing, but not spotty water hemlock. That was used that's the legend of how Socrates died, by poisoning himself with that. So, but wild chervil is part of the carrot family, and it looks pretty similar to the non-spotty water hemlock, the one that won't kill you. This one, several ways to identify it. The leaves look a little bit different than hemlock, but the big kicker is the leaves smell, they smell like an herb. They smell delicious, and they smell like something you'd want to eat. Hemlock smells like poison. You can smell the leaves and you will know that you don't want to eat it. Don't use that as enough of an identifier though. another way to identify, I start to really, besides the smell, I will harvest it once it's gone to flower. You can see the flowers here. They are very delicate and there aren't that many in the umbral. So unlike hemlock, which has big umbrals that are kind of like fennel. Yeah, thanks, that's great, Alicia. So one of my friends, Alicia, is reminding us that hemlocks are boundary plants, that there are plants that kind of, they help us go in between worlds, and they can be very intense in how we work with them. Like hawthorn is another boundary plant. We can work with it to enter that space that is the other world, where we can communicate with spirits, ancestors, and beings that aren't visible with the naked eye on this plane. So hemlock is much the same. This is not hemlock though. This is wild chervil, and it makes a delicious salad green. It's one that these three plants I like to ferment. I'll blend them with whey. We have goats, and so part of the byproduct of making chev is you get a lot of whey, and so I blend them with whey and wild onions and oxalis, which I'll show in a later video, and I blend it with a little salt and garlic, and I'll let it sit for a couple of days, shaking it twice a day. It makes a really delicious, like, fermented smoothie. It's it's really energizing. My friend Pascal makes this amazing fermented raw soup by doing a lacto fermentation with many of the wild plants that are growing out right now, but with salt. And his name is Pascal Baudar. You can look him up. He has an awesome foraged plants page on Instagram and on Facebook, and he does it with salt and potentially other starters, but that's a great way to get in wild greens in a myriad of ways. So this makes a great salad and a great garnish on other things. They don't preserve very well, so I like to do a daily harvest. These plants are all growing in the cracks. They're all over. They're all native to this area, and accordingly, it's really important that we harvest them well. They reproduce by seed, and so if we're harvesting a lot of the plants before they go to seed, then we're basically stripping the field for other people and for future generations to be having access to those plants. So it's really important that as we harvest, to make sure to harvest from abundant places, and if we can, pick off the seed. Like these ones have now gone to seed, so I can pick it off and toss it around. Or yeah, just harvest a little bit here and there. So anyway, enjoy. Bon appetit and great springtime nourishment to you all.